Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. We are super happy to have you. I'm Dr. Jacalyn-Kerbeck, and wherever you are in the world, we are celebrating you. We continue to grow our platform so that more people can come from around the world and share their stories. Our show today is the Mallorca Connection, and our topic is a fascinating one. It's Innovate and Elevate, strategies for scaling up your startup. With us is the star of our show. This gentleman is a serial entrepreneur, and he is so heart-centric. He loves to share his experiences with our audience so that people can learn and grow. Let us welcome the incredible, the dynamic, my dear friend, Mr. Roland-friedl. Hello.
Hello, Jacalyn. Great to see you. You look amazing. I love your new style.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
I am wearing a pair of heels today. I never really wear heels, so I'm still getting used to it. But thank you. You look great yourself. Where in the world are you?
Yeah. First of all, hello to our audience. Where are you joining us? Hello. Great that you join us. Well, where am I right now? I'm actually in my home country in Austria, but I'm in another part. I'm in the Alps in Tyrol. Tyrol is famous for hiking in summer and actually for skiing in winter. So it's a beautiful area here. So I just arrived a few minutes before the show.
Okay, Roland, thank you so much for sharing that. I really love the fact that you just decided to leave Mallorca, get in your motorhome, and drive through Europe for the last amount of time. You've had incredible experiences. Would you please share with our audience a little bit about your background as an entrepreneur? You've done many different businesses. Some were successful and some not so successful, but you've learned from it. So tell us more, please. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Well, first, I'm Roland. As I said, I'm Austrian, but I I don't call myself an Austrian. I'm a world traveler. I'm a citizen, a human being. So I always travel the whole world. And actually, after my studies at my university, I went to the corporate world. I had a very short career, a very fast one. I guess I was the youngest member of board of director of a huge company. Why it was a short one? Because after 3 years, I decided getting out of the corporate world very early in my end 20s and starting my own businesses for different reasons. So as you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, I started different reasons, some very successful and some failed, actually 2 failed. But it was a huge learning for me. I got to know myself better as an entrepreneur. What is my strengths? Where are my weak points? So I found out I focus on my strengths, and for my weak points, I hire somebody who knows it better than myself, has more experience. So that's my career. And after a few years, other companies came to me, other managers came to me and said, "Hey, can you train my people on sales, on communication, on leadership, and so on?" So besides my businesses, I started a career as a consultant and trainer. Actually, right now, almost 3 decades. Traveled the world for huge international big companies like Xerox or OpenText or many others, to name a few of them. Actually, I've been on every continent training for them, in North America, South America, Asia, Africa, and of course in Europe. Never been to Australia, but all other continents. So, and with all this experience, I could help companies, individuals. And besides that, I started a business, a private coaching. It's called Wireless Life Rocks, for those people who want to have a same crazy weird lifestyle like myself. I always love to travel. I combine traveling and working. Right now, I'm in my motorhome. So since 2 years, I moved from this beautiful island from Mallorca into my motorhome, traveling through Europe, working from there online most of the time, seeing my clients, of course, too. And yeah, I do a lot of men's work. I'm very engaged in environment. And for those of you who saw the show before this one, It's Your Health and Lifestyle, I'm very engaged in health, because for me, it's very important to stay fit and healthy so I can live life to the fullest. Yeah, that's a little bit my background.
Roland, thank you so much for sharing all that. A question that comes to mind when you were talking is about hiring other people. And one of the challenges that we have as entrepreneurs is we only have typically so much money when we're starting out. And many times people fail because they don't want to take a risk, so to speak, or they don't want to hire someone because they feel like if I bring somebody on board, not even as an employee, but just as a contractor, that maybe they'll steal their ideas, or maybe they'll somehow sabotage the business. So what do you have to say about that for anyone who's concerned?
That's a good question. I mean, of course, as an entrepreneur, you're always taking risk, but well, but the point is, you can choose pain. You can choose pain in the corporate world, or you can choose pain in as an entrepreneur. Choose whatever you want. There's pain there. There's pain there. I choose the pain of becoming an entrepreneur, I mean, taking risk, because I'm fully self-responsible. So I will never fire myself. A corporate company can fire you. I don't lose my job. If one business doesn't work, I do something different. So that's one thing. About employees or contractors. I always was working with contractors or with freelancers. I never had employees, because I believe in performance. I believe in a performance compensation plan. So if somebody is really willing to work hard, he or she gets more. So I'm not a fan of a fixed salary. About your question, Dr. Jacalyn, stealing your idea. Well, the point is, of course, when you bring team members on board, I mean, you train them. Yeah, you train them, of course, whatever job description they have. And sometimes you train people for your competitors. This can happen. Of course, it can happen that you train somebody, and after a few months or a year or a few years, they're going somewhere else. It always can happen. Yeah, but there's not 100% security. But that's the risk you're taking. I mean, that's okay. But actually, we have to trust people. And well, the point is, to be honest, when we talk about hiring freelancers or contractors, what I do, I never hire over skills. I always hire about attitude, mindset, attitude, because most people hire for skills and fire for attitude. I do the other way around. So I do this. So yeah, for me, it's more important the mindset. And if you want, when we talk about startups, as you know, I didn't start my own startup at the moment. I work for a startup. I'm responsible for sales and marketing in Europe. And if you want, we can use this as an example because it just started freshly, and go through how to sign up contractors, what I'm looking for, how to scale the business and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would love that. One question before we get to that. So when we think about scaling your startup, and you're with a startup now, what do we have to have in terms of a business plan, or how far out? Let me just take a step back. How far out do we have to project with a business plan into the future? So it's for the next 2 years, the next 5 years. It's really hard to know where you're going to be. Like, for example, we can take USA Global TV and Radio as a startup. Should I be planning for the next 20 years, the next 10 years? How does that work?
Well, actually, yeah, that's a good question for business plan. Actually, I mean, 30 years ago, you've been planning for 2 years and 5 years. You had a short-term and a mid-term and a long-term plan. This is my strong belief. This is not working anymore because we all experience it. The world is changing so fast. Technology is changing so fast. The customer behaving is changing so fast. So for me, it doesn't make sense to make a 5-year plan at all. Well, if you have time, you do it. But I do a 1 year and a 2 year plan. That's what I'm doing. Not longer, because it's changing so fast. You have to adapt it anyway. So yeah, doing a 1 year plan, a business plan, and a financial plan, that's very, very, very important. Absolutely, plan every year, adapt it, be honest with yourself, do review processes every month, and adapt what is not working well, do more of that what is working. But to answer your question, a 1 year, maximum a 2 year plan. Yeah, everything else doesn't make any sense anymore.
I love that you share that. Now, at what point in a startup, whether you want to use one of the businesses that you've had or where you are now, at what point, if ever, do you bring in a partner, or do you bring in an investor? Or when you look at scaling up, how do you actually get the funding? Do you do some type of capital raise? And when do you consider doing all of these things?
Yeah, but this is depending on what kind of business you're in. I mean, when you're more a service-driven business, when you're not, you need a huge investment in IT and stuff like that, you can do it by your own. It's depending on what you're doing. Give an example. Like most people are here in Europe right now, we have a lot of people who are starting as a trainer or a coach or something like that. The investment is very low just in marketing. So you don't need an investment, or you don't need a partner. Well, it can make sense to bring a partner in if somebody can deliver what you can't. It makes sense, of course, to have a symbiosis of the two, or even three. This makes sense. On the other hand, I had 2 times had a partner in previous business, but to be honest, I always had a bad experience with that. I always lost a hell of money. So I don't do it again. What I do is I bring in contractors. Yeah, that's what I do, and pay them on a commission base. That's what I do. When the point is, when you go in a business, especially when you like the startup we are having right now in Switzerland, where it's very cost intensive because we produce a product. Okay, a premium product, a high value premium product, and the costs are very, very high. And here it makes sense to bring an investor on the midterm. Yeah, we're also looking for an investor at the time. Yeah, to grow faster. Yeah, so it's depending on the business.
Right, that makes sense. What is it that an investor wants to see? So, for example, I love Shark Tank, and I know you have, I think, Dragon's Den over there, but you have the investors, and the person comes on the carpet and they talk about what it is they need, and the investors want to see certain things. And one of the questions, and you and I have discussed this before, but it's an interesting point, is when someone has a side hustle and they're also doing this, whatever the new business is, and they're not fully invested in that. You and I both have talked about the fact that sometimes it makes sense to still keep your job and do this as a side hustle. But if you're looking for an investor, they typically want someone who's all in. Is that right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, if you do it on the side of part-time business, you don't get an investor. That's for sure. That's for sure. No, absolutely. Well, well, it makes sense, when you depending on the business, but it makes sense to do it on part-time in the beginning, especially when you have monthly bills to settle, especially when you're responsible for a family, when you have small kids going to school or whatever. It makes sense to start it part-time. Yeah, you can go full in the point depending on the business plan, and when you have the savings for at least to survive 1 year. If you want to spend all the savings, when you have the savings, I said, okay, you go full in and have the savings for 1 year, so even when there's no client there, you can survive for 1 year. It makes sense. Otherwise, part-time. But if you want to have an investor on board on your side, you have to go full-time. I don't believe that an investor will go in a part-time business. No.
Yeah, that's at least what I've seen when I was watching the show. Okay, so let's talk about what you're doing right now. You mentioned that the company offers a product as opposed to a service. And of course, they had to go out and hire a sales organization. Now, one thing that we have here in the States, I don't know how it is there, but certain industries like real estate, insurance, they compensate people by commission. So you have to go out and do the work. You're not getting a salary. When you do get the sale, you close the business, then you get paid. What do you think the pros and cons are to that type of business model as opposed to paying a salary?
For the contractor or for the business owner?
For the business owner.
Okay. Well, as I said at the beginning, I'm a fan of performance. I am a fan of a compensation plan. So being commission-based compensation plan. So the more you do, the more you get paid. And there's no risk. I mean, there's a small risk, of course. Yeah, because as we say, somebody can burn the market. Yeah, if you have a bad person and is spreading a bad reputation, of course there's a risk. But it's not a financial high risk. It's not a financial risk, but it's a risk because the question is, how motivated is this person to really do? Of course, you can say, okay, the person is highly motivated because they only get a commission paid. Yeah, but you have to check out the person really. And as I said at the beginning, for me, it's all about the mindset. It's all about the mindset. I have a long conversation with these people and asking different questions and get a more or less good picture about the mindset of the picture of the person. For me, it's less about skills. As I said at the beginning, I can train a monkey to go in sales. That's not the point.
I love it.
It's all about the mindset.
Thank you, Roland. Another question that comes to mind is when we are scaling up our business, at some point we may choose to outsource certain services. For example, you can outsource being a CFO, you can have a fractional CFO, you can outsource human resource departments. When do you think this is a good idea, if it ever is?
When you're growing, it makes sense, of course, you to bring more people in, part of the company or outsourced. But actually, we have to define the word scaling. What does it mean, scaling a business? Scaling a business means, in a very narrow term, means to increase sales without increasing costs. That's what it means exactly, scaling a business. So it's how you can increase your sales without spending more money. So that's the point, especially a startup, because the budget is limited. You cannot invest in commercials or whatever it is. So scaling means increasing, finding strategy to increase your sales without extra high cost. That's what it means exactly. And there are many opportunities to do that. You have to be very creative, but I have the same challenge right now with this Swiss startup company, but it's working. Yeah.
Thank you, Roland. Now, there is a difference, obviously, if a company is manufacturing a product or they're selling a product, they're somewhere in that distribution channel for products. When it's service-based, I would think that many times there could be a potential credibility issue because the entrepreneur doesn't have the longevity. So I'll give a very simple example. Let's say you dry clean your clothes, which I can't believe I dry cleaned for so years. I'd never dry clean. I don't dry clean anything. But a lot of dry cleaners went out of business during the pandemic. But let's say you decide to open a dry cleaning business and you're new in the shopping center. People don't know of you, but they know 5 other places they can go. So you have a couple of options. One, you can have better pricing, or 2, you can have value add, whatever that might be. We'll do 2 shirts for the price of 1. Are they good strategies to make inroads in getting customers?
Well, yeah. In this example, when you have a dry cleaner and you're, well, should be you rent in a shopping mall and you have competition there, and you actually most startups don't have a huge budget for advertising, most problem. So what you can do is to make a special sales, meaning a special price, an opening price the first month, maybe get free clean for the price of 2 or something, whatever. This makes sense, that people try your service on a lower price in the beginning. Yeah, it absolutely makes sense working about the price. Or you can offer an extra service. For example, you pick up the gloves and bring it to them if you have somebody around you, maybe a student who has the time in the area with his, with bicycle, like some food deliverers. So you have to be creative, whatever you want to do. There's so many options. Just be creative, find new ways. The point is, whatever business you're doing is look at competitors and look at from a customer's point of view and say, okay, what's missing? If you would be a customer there, what's missing? Yeah. And find a new way to fill this gap. And most companies who are very successful in the last years, and I know some companies who started in an economic crisis, otherwise went bankrupt in 2008. And there are I know some German companies who started in 2008 very successfully, or even during the pandemic. A friend of mine, he started in business in the pandemic very successfully. What he did was just checking competitors, what they are offering, and said, okay, from a customer's point of view, what can I do better that has a value to the customer? Be creative. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's also your mindset, because we're talking about people who were successful during the pandemic and people who are not successful. And obviously your service, your product, the way you treat your customers have a lot to do with it. And also fate, of course, I guess at some point.
Mhm.
So when we look at innovation, is innovation looking to see what your competitors are doing and then one-upping them, or is it looking for a completely different path? And I'll give an example. Obviously, we all know about the pharmaceutical industries, and now we also know about alternative, holistic ways of living. So at some point, pharmaceuticals were the only way to go. And somebody said, hey, you know what? No, I'm not taking those drugs. I'm going to find a different way. And maybe they went back to ancient times and looked at what people were doing back then. So they went a completely different path. What do you think?
Well, there are different options. When you have an idea about something new, a new service, or a different product, like the company I'm working for, a brand new product, nobody's seen it before. Yeah, that's innovative. You innovate. Actually, the founder invented the product. Actually, he has a totally different business background. He's in IT, but in his vacation time, he was looking for a product like that. Didn't find it on the market, so he invented it and brought it to the market. So that's innovation. But it can also, as I mentioned before, it can also be an innovation when you look at competitors in a business where you want to get in. Look at what competitors are doing, and as I said before, look at it as a customer's point of view and say, okay, it's cool, yeah, the product, the service offering, but what would it more easier, more comfortable, more convenient, and think from a customer's point of view, what is missing, and find a new way. And so they're both. You can invent something new, an idea, a product, or you look what's going on in the market and say, okay, from a customer's point of view, how can I do it better? How can I bring more value to customer? Maybe I have a home delivery service. How to make it more convenient? It's all about. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And one thing that comes to mind is the iPhone, for example. And there's constant new releases and updates. And if you have an iPhone, you're like, I've got to get the latest phone, right? I don't know that you feel that way or that I feel that way, but the pressure that companies have to differentiate themselves. And at the same time, I think to myself, do they lose clients? I mean, Apple stock has been really doing well for a while, but I'm wondering, is that where do you draw the line on the innovation? So how many new software releases do you have to have? How many part two, like Barbie, for example? Think about how many Barbie dolls there are. They're constantly coming out with new Barbies. So the original product itself, I guess, becomes stale unless you consistently find new audiences.
Yeah. As I said in the beginning, the world is changing, market is changing, consumer behavior is changing so fast. So I think back driving a car, when I think back 40 years ago, I had a car for 5-6 years. And then now every 6 to 8, 9 months, a new model is coming out, whatever brand it is. So it's faster, 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 faster. The question is it good or is it bad? Depending. But yeah, it's always bringing out a relaunch, but actually when you know the product, like an iPhone, for an example, or a car, how many parts are really new? It's all about bringing a relaunch, changing a little bit, raising the price and go back on the market. That's what most companies do. It's not that a car is 100% new from the old parts, or the iPhone is 100% new. They make here a little bit better, there a little bit better, maybe the camera a little bit better, or the processor a little bit better, or the screen a little bit better. It's not the total product that they improve. It's just a little bit there and a little bit there. That's what they do, and then bring a relaunch. But in past time we called it a relaunch. Now we just have a new product name, a new model name, and we don't call it relaunch again. But in the past it was just a relaunch.
Absolutely. You mentioned cars, and something that comes to mind, I would always lease my cars and get a new one every 2 years, 3 years at the most. And now my car is a 2018 Mercedes, and I'm not planning on replacing it, actually. So I have a completely different mindset that I used to. But people will turn in their vehicles, even though the car depreciates as soon as you drive it off the lot. I'm sure it's the same thing with the motorhome. What would it take for you to say, you know what, I'm going to trade this motorhome in, I'm going to get another one? What would be, because people out there who manufacture motorhomes, is it one and done? As somebody buys one, that's it? They're not coming back for repeat business?
Well, actually, motorhome people, most of them are changed very often. The smaller one, the larger one, or depending on the size. Actually, I was thinking about it to sell my motorhome, because during the pandemic, I have been offered much more money than I paid for it. So I could make a profit out of selling it. But then I thought, yeah, okay, I have the money, but it takes me another 1.5 years to get a new one, because the market went crazy. Everyone wanted a motorhome in the pandemic. So I decided not to sell it. And the other thing is, especially when a motorhome, it takes you 3 years to get all this things out that don't work, because our motorhome, especially in the one like I have, is they're handmade, so there are always some change to always some things that you can make better or improve, and there's a failure there, there's an error there. So it took me 3 years to get rid of everything, and now it's working, everything perfect. But I was thinking, because the prices went up so crazy, that I have been offered much more money than I bought. But then I thought, okay, I have the money, but I want a motorhome, and it takes me another 1.5 years of waiting, so I didn't sell it. But yeah, some people do. They always want the brand new one, or a larger one, or a smaller one. Or I will stay with it. To be honest, when you mentioned cars, I also have a Mercedes, a GL, this large SUV. It's from 2009, so it's already 15 years old, and I'm not changing anymore. It's a cool car. It's a very good color, very good quality. Why should I sell it? I get only a few bucks, and I don't get another one for that. So I'm not very into cars. When I was younger, I spent a hell of money on cars. Every 15 months, I changed it. But now, not anymore. It's not important for me anymore.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And also, when we buy something new, and my father was always a beta tester, he wanted to be one of the first people to try things when it came to software. And they do test, obviously, just like the pharmaceutical companies. They have clinical trials where people test and see how it works out. So some people like that kind of thing. They like to be the first in, and they're willing to put up with any bugs, or bugs like that, or any glitches that there might be. So that's one area that people have to make a decision on. I think the next area is when you think about your hiring process. So are you going to hire across the generations? Are you interested in just hiring people with experience in your particular area, or someone who has no experience, but they're open to learning?
Yeah, good question. So at the moment, with the startup, I jumped in as a sales director for Europe. Of course, I'm looking for people in different countries. And actually, we focus on Europe for the next 2 years, and then we go to the US and Australia. Yeah, I'm looking for people. Yeah, and but when you ask me how I hire, as I said in the beginning, I hire for attitude, not for skills. So I'm not looking for a classical salesperson. I'm looking, because we are in the outdoor, in the camping, in the outdoor industry. I'm looking for somebody who is an outdoor and or camping enthusiast, male or female, I don't care. And is an enthusiast, so who gets the value of the product, is enthusiastic in front of, because every contractor gets his own product, can use it for themselves and try it out when they go outdoors on the weekends or on camping or whatever. So who loves the product, is enthusiastic about the idea, about the vision of the company. And the sales, because our sales process is quite easy, it's not very complex. So as I said in the beginning, I hire them for attitude, about their mindset, and I teach them. For example, in Piero Visconti, we did an interview with him. This former Italian photographer. He was a very famous fashion photographer in Italy, Milan, and in London. He was the publisher of one of the most popular photograph magazines for professionals. He moved to Norway, does outdoor camps right now, and I signed him up as a contractor because he's an outdoor enthusiast, also very successful with his own channel, and he has no idea about sales, but I trained him, so it's working. And by the way, I visit him in July, so in July I go up to Norway. So I looking for people in this specific business I am right now, for outdoor camping enthusiasts, and I trained them the sales process.
So you're actually putting it out to our audience that you are looking for people.
I'm looking for people, yeah, for Germany. I lead a few people for Germany, for the Netherlands, for the Scandinavians, for the UK at the moment, yeah.
And when you think about performance, I know from when I started at my career, when I was working in corporate, there was a very different philosophy than it is today, which is cradle to grave. So you start with one company and you stay there until you die. Of course, that ended up not being the case. I think I had four positions in my career before I retired. What are your thoughts about that? Are you hiring just for the short term, in and out, 2 years, 1 year, or somebody who wants to be a lifer? I know we talked about a business plan and not going out that many years. So does it really matter?
Well, I wouldn't hire somebody who just steps in for a few months. Doesn't make sense, because it's an investment to train these people, to see these people, bring in product and so on. But I guess a reasonable time is 2 years or 3 years. That is fine. I mean, yeah. But I know that it's changing fast, and people maybe find something different. That's fine too. But I think at least to commit for 2 or 3 years, it makes sense. Because the point is, we are a brand new company, so nobody ever heard about the company. We have a brand new product. It's totally new to the market. So everyone, I show it to a retailer, because we target a retailer, and said, "Oh, I've never seen this before. It's amazing." So product new, product idea new, company new. So it takes the time to build up the business, meaning takes up to build up the relationship to we don't sell to end consumers, we sell it to retailers. So to resellers. So it takes a time to build up a relationship, to build up trust and stuff like that. So it doesn't make sense to quit after a year, because you won't see much money. So the most of the money comes in the second and the third year.
That makes sense. Thank you. Now, what about what's the plan? You have to have a plan in place for passing the company on. What is that called?
Passing the company on? You meaning to sell it later, or what?
Yeah. So let's say for me, for example, and I decide to take a step back, or I'm not in the limelight, and actually I've created it so the platform can run by itself, as long as we have producers and marketers and search engine optimization. But what about that plan that needs to be put in place so that the company can grow? Because if the branding is just about one person, then that can become obsolete very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So when somebody has a startup and it's growing and it's successful and thinks about selling it, what changed the last year is actually a few years ago when you sold the company, people look at the revenues, of course, and the profit margin, and pay you mostly double, when you're lucky triple of your annual sales. That's mostly the when we talk about the when we sell a company. Right, it changed the last year. So the company value right now is not only what you have on sales, on profit, it's about how large is the community you build up. So even there are companies out there who have a huge community, they are still in the loss, in the red figures, but they're on the stock exchange, people go crazy. So it's about how strong are you in building up a community. And I give an example of the company I'm working right now, this Kamparka, it's called. We have right now a community on Instagram of over 17,000 followers already. So we're building up a huge community because this absolutely drives the price. So when you sell a company that has a huge community, you don't get the double. You get about 20 to 30 times of the value. So this changed the last years. It's about building up a community. It's not only about the product. It's not only about the profit side. It's about how strong and how large is your community. That's all about it.
So you're not alone, basically. There's people, not just support structure, but there are people who believe in what it is that you're doing. And that makes a lot of sense. So for people just joining us, we're talking today about innovation and elevation strategies for scaling up your startup. So Roland, what are some key takeaways from you as an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, for businesses that didn't go quite the way you wanted them to go?
Well, first of all, look at, especially when you invent a product, you have an idea. It's all about what we say is the worm is for the fish and not for the fisherman. So is there a market? That's one thing. Secondly, how about the timing? You can be too early with the product that the market is not ready for you. It happened to me years ago. I lost a hell of money. I was with a product on the market too early, and 10 years it failed. And 10 years later, some other companies did it very, very well. But I was too early. I was too far ahead in time. My customers haven't been ready for that. So it's about, is the market there? It's about the timing. You're too early maybe, or even too late. That's timing. And secondly is be very innovative, how to sell it. For example, what we did in the beginning, we thought about, okay, we go to retailers. We don't want to we don't sell directly on end consumers via internet. I said in the beginning, if you want me to jump up, I said to the owner, no wholesale. Absolutely. I want to support local retailers. You know, I buy all my food on local retailers, on local farms and retailers. So I said, okay, my concept is, my strategy, support local retailers and build a strong relationship with them and support them. So they're loyal to us. That's one thing. And then we said, okay, we go also on trade fairs. We do trade fairs because on trade fairs, or special trade fairs in our business, we see end consumers and retailers, so both sides. So we can have both sides. And the last thing I started right now, because we also have a small budget, is I start working together with influencers. So I have a meeting in June with an influencer in a total different area, not in the camping area, in a fishing area, who has 140,000 subscribers and between 2 and 4 million clicks on each videos. I meet him and offer him a product and a commission. He's willing to do that. I meet some influencers in Norway who have also millions of clicks on the videos. So I work also together with influencers in the outdoor area, camping area, fishing area, because for me, it's just giving them one of the products and paying them a commission. So the more they recommend the product, the more we sell, the more commission we get, but we don't pay them a fixed price. So that's what I mean by scaling your business. I mean, we try to make more sales without increasing our costs. And that's what I want to give a bit of it. So first of all, is there a market? Good timing, and then be innovative how to sell your product. and what's the fastest way, the best way, and also lasting way. And I'm not spending any penny on FaceTime or Google ads, not at all. We go directly to influencers, and I meet them for lunch or for dinner, talk about the idea, checking their mindset, and if it's working together with our vision, and then we do a contract together, and that's my approach. And actually, there's no risk and no cost except giving the product away.
I love that. That is a great approach. And I remember we had a gentleman on, one of your friends or colleagues, who is an outdoors person. Is that the one you're speaking of?
This is Piero, yeah.
Yeah, Piero, that's right.
Yeah, and he signed up as a contractor in Norway, yeah. So I meet him in July. I go up in July to see him.
Fantastic. Well, my dear friend, we are at the end of our show for today. So what would you like to leave our audience with?
Oh, good question. Good question. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're joining us, you're more than welcome to contact me. If you want to share your ideas, you need advice, I always say you don't have to have an issue or challenge to contact me. So if you want to share something, if you need some advice or coaching, whatever, you're more than welcome. The best way is to contact me, because I'm always on the road, is send me an email. My email address is office@roland-friedl.com. I will spell it for you guys. It's rolandfriedl.com, roland-friedl.com. roland-friedl.com is also my main website. So you're more than welcome. Let me know if we can support you in any way through my network of creating a business plan, or checking up the potential of your product and whatever. I have a lot of experience. I do a lot of coaching for startups on this, and yeah, we find a way to make you successful.
He's the man. He's the man to contact. So thank you very much, Roland, for being here. I look forward to seeing you again next week.
Thank you for having me. All the best. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone, whether you're watching or listening on the live or the replay. We really do appreciate you. Please go to our YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV and Radio, and subscribe. If you're watching on Roku worldwide or on Amazon Fire, please do support us by downloading our app. I guess if you are watching, then you're watching on the app. That would make sense. But maybe you weren't aware that we have an app. So we absolutely do. Our next show is coming up. It's a special edition of Dementia Home Care with Tracy Cram-Perkins and her special guest, Dr. Felix Kravitz. So stay tuned for that. And we'll look forward to seeing you just shortly after the conclusion of this show. Thank you again. Let's take a look from our sponsors. USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents our partner and sponsor, Mr. Philip Sykes and the British School of Excellence. Building confidence, changing lives. And now, proudly presenting the Polished Professional.
On a transformative journey with the British School of Excellence's comprehensive suite of masterclasses, crafted to elevate your professional and personal life. 8 outstanding modules will elevate you to the next level. Module 1, Exploring Life's Purpose, delves into the depths of self-discovery, guiding you to chart your unique path to fulfillment and success. Module 2, Mastering Professional Presence and Confidence. This masterclass is a deep dive into the art of self-assurance and commanding presence, which is essential for standing out in today's competitive landscape. Module 3, Learn the Secrets of Visual Impact, how to curate a personal style that amplifies your professional brand. Module 4, Mastering Professional Etiquette and Communication Excellence, navigating the nuances of corporate interaction with grace and tact. Module 5, Elegance in Eloquence. We impart powerful techniques to captivate and persuade any audience with your oratory skills. Module 6, Unlock the potential of your emotional intelligence, EQ, and harness the ability to connect, empathize, and lead with emotional savvy. Module 7, Mastering DISC, building a gateway to understanding behavioral styles, fostering better personal and professional relationships. Module 8, Mastery in Dining Etiquette, building your confidence to Perfect the subtleties of dining with finesse, enhancing your social savviness at any table. Step into the Polished Professional program where poise, elegance, and excellence aren't just taught, they're instilled for life. Join us to redefine your potential and polish your professional edge.
To learn more, go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. The British School of Excellence are investors in people. Let us invest in you.